Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you a fun feature using an application called Tasker. It's actually going to be using Tasker and a little plugin for Tasker, which is called Auto Voice. So get those two applications installed to get the setup. Also, if you don't know what Tasker is, or if you're brand new, or you think you're just going to download and understand it all, this application does a lot. So don't get intimidated by it for one, but also do lots of research on it. Read up. There's loads of tutorials online. There's a great beginner's guide, 3-part beginner's guide by Armando Ferreira. Hope I didn't say his name wrong, but it's on YouTube. It's a 3-part beginner's guide, plus he has some more advanced stuff, and there's links to other, I believe, buddies of his or other people that all kind of go together and work on this Tasker project. So it's an amazing app. I recommend it. It's definitely worth it. So here we go. This is what I'm going to show you how to make today. Take a picture.
Say cheese. Would you like to see the picture?
Yes. There it goes, showing me the picture. So if I would have said no, it would have just closed the application and be done with it. So that is what I will be showing you how to make. And to do that, we'll need to, of course, launch Tasker. A couple things to keep in mind. You do need root for this to work, not completely, but there's a couple commands in here that I set, which I will show you in a little bit, that do need root. So if you don't have root, don't want to get root, you can omit those type of little features, but it's kind of going to defeat this whole setup here. So unfortunately, do need root for it to work exactly the way I'm going to show you. Plus, a little note, this is working on the HTC One, which doesn't mean it can't work on anything else. It will work on any other device, Samsung, Motorola, whoever it may be that you're using. The reason I mentioned the HTC One is because of the camera layout is specific to the HTC Sense ROMs, so you'll have to just kind of tweak your setup depending on what camera app you're using. So this is to get started. What we're going to need to do is first create a profile. First profile, you can name it whatever you want, so let's just name it photo, and go in. And the first thing we're going to want to do is set up that voice command. The way you do that is you go into state, and then we're going to use the plugin, the Auto Voice, and we're going to use Auto Voice Recognize. There's a lot of other things you can do here. Auto Voice record failed, Bluetooth presses, and so on, but we're just using this one. And you go into edit. So we get this into focus. And the first thing you want to do is make sure to check the event behavior. That basically sets it up to act like an event. So when you say the command, it's going to set up and trigger the event. The next thing we need to do is, what do we want the command to be? And under the command filter is where you would type that. And this can pretty much be any word you want it to be. It could be multi-words, could be a phrase. I don't recommend really short stuff because it could possibly get confused, although I haven't been able to confuse it yet. But let's just keep this simple and label it picture. The reason I label it picture is because that's obviously what we're making, but you can say it any way you want. You can say snap a picture, take a picture, or can I get your picture? As long as you're saying picture, it'll work. So go ahead and do the command filter there. We also want to make sure for this setup to give this command an ID, and I'll show you why that's important later. But for now, let's just label the picture and be done with that. So make sure, get a command in there, and basically you're giving this whole command an identification. And that's it. So there's your ID, picture, and the command, what you're actually going to physically say is picture. And back out of this. Now, what do you want to do? Well, first, we want to load the camera. So let's just do load camera. And go in. Oh, apparently I already have it, so let's just do load camera 1. I forgot, I already set it up so I can show you. So do it in, and the way you load a camera is you add an app, and you want to load app, which is over on this side here. Load app. And then you want to find your camera app. And that's it. So first step is we're gonna load camera. Pretty simple. You can have it set up that way alone, which is a nice little fun voice command. If you want to just load the camera, you say picture and it'll load the camera up and you'll be done and take your pictures. But we're taking this quite a bit further instead of that simple thing. So I'm gonna load a camera. After you load the camera, we want to wait a little bit just to let the system load the camera before it does the next step, because everybody's system's different. There could be some burning in the background, so you want to make sure that it's actually set up. So the next thing you want to do is a task, I believe it's under. Yes, and you want to wait. And what this does is it just waits whatever you put in here. So let's just do wait, I don't know, about almost a second. You can put it whatever you want. You put it 1 second and so on. And that's it. So far we're going to load the app, and then we're going to load the app and then wait. Now the next thing we want to do is give it that vocalization, that say cheese. And the way you do that is you go into miscellaneous, and you got this one right here kind of in the middle, and it says say. This literally will say whatever you type in this field. So you can have it say monkey or whatever you want it to say. We're just gonna say, for the purpose of the tutorial, say cheese. And add a little exclamation mark. The punctuation does matter. Wow, I can't even say that word. Because if you have exclamation, it'll give that little inflect on the sound. If you put a question mark and a period and so on. Put a comma, I believe it pauses. So it keep it grammatically correct. That way it sounds the way you want it to. Also, if you come down to here, you can have your pitch and your speed changed. Pitch, I do want to up the pitch a little bit because I want it to kind of sound fun, and then I don't want it to be too fast because people might get a weird face on them and say, what did you say? So if you slow it down a little bit, then it'll give that nice little slightly funner sound, but a slower, understandable thing. So anyways, go on to that. Now we're going to do say cheese, higher pitch, and so on, and that's good. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is actually take the picture. After it says say cheese, we want to snap the photo. Well, how do we make it do that? This is where I mentioned HTC mainly because of the application that I'm using. So this is where you're going to have to find out how your camera acts or responds to your input. So wherever your button is, if you have a camera button that you use on the side, then which we don't, you would have to figure out how to activate that, or if you have an on-screen button. So whatever it is. So for this purpose, because I'm using the HTC One, I have to design a way to tap on this button down here, and that takes the shot. So how do I get that? Well, what I'm going to do is find the XY coordinates of where that button is and tell Tasker to do that, to tap on that spot. And the way you do that is, first you want to come into your settings and go down into your developer options. Down here near the bottom there is the pointer location. You want to select that, and that gives you, if you notice, I don't know if you can see that, but it gives you an XY coordinates, and at the top there, this camera doesn't want to focus too well, but anyways, at the top up here you have an XY coordinates. So when you're holding it down, it'll tell you, like right now it's saying 738.9 and Y is 1316.9. So the decimals doesn't really matter. You just need the first bulk number, full whole number, and that's good enough. So what we want to do is go into our camera app, and if you're doing this on an HTC, it has a continuous shot available. Make sure you go in and disable that before doing this, because otherwise you're going to get tons of pictures while you're trying to find out the coordinates. And you basically just press kind of as center as possible as you can on that and hold it, and right at the top it'll give you your XY coordinates. For here, it looks like it's saying right now 624 by 1775. You can round that just slightly if you want to like 625, 1775, whatever it may be. So as long as you get that real close vicinity, you're good. Now write that down, and go back to your Tasker app, and what we're going to do is a shell command or a script. So you add a new into script and run shell, which is that icon up there. And this one's pretty simple. All you have to do is say that you want to input. We're going to input a tap. So you input tap, and now we want the XY coordinates, X first, Y second. So this one, let's see what I have it written down as 6. We'll put it on 652. I could just put 650. And then a space. Now there are no commas, no nothing, just spaces in between each one of these. And then the Y coordinates as 1770. Just put that. So like I said, it doesn't have to be exactly where you touched it, but as long as within 5 or so XY coordinates, you should be pretty well set. And this is another important part here. So once you get that put, you have to press this. Make sure you have a checkbox on for use root. This allows it to actually communicate and take control because it's kind of a systems thing, so you need root. That's why I said you do need root access for this to work. So make sure that's on, otherwise it'll just stop and you'll be like, what happened? Why isn't it working? Make sure that's checked. And so we go out. We want to add another part, and that is where it is asking me, do you want to see the picture you just took? The way we do that is to simply have it ask us that. So first, before I do that, I want to add another wait. Sometimes it could take us a second or so before it, processes that photo. So let's give it a quick little 1 second wait before it asks us. Now we want it to ask us, which is under miscellaneous, say, and then we're going to ask, do you want to see the picture? Question mark. Do you want to see the picture? Again, I want to put a little bit faster or higher pitch voice, but I don't want it to say it so slowly because it's a question. Do you want to see the picture? You don't want to say, do you want to? Anyways, so set those speeds up, and actually, once you get those XY coordinates, you can go back into your settings and disable that annoying pointer crosshair thing. And so, okay, so we got, do you want to see the picture? And in the settings, yada yada. And so that's set. Now, how do we get it to, take our command? Do you want to see the picture? Well, yeah, I do. Well, okay, so how is it going to listen to us? This is where that original command ID is so important. So what we want to do is add another instant or task, and it's going to be a plugin. And we want to go into that voice recognize again. And this time you'll notice it looks different. It only gives you 2 commands. Now this is going to be the use if last command. This is basically saying to use if last, meaning that last command was used. So I don't know exactly how to explain it, but basically what it's going to do is pop up another automatic voice response type thing. So after after the phone says, do you want to see the picture? It'll pop up that Google Voice listening thing now. So that's all we need to do with that, and that's set. So we're all done with this one. So now it'll go through, run its thing, and ask that question. Well, now how do we set up the answers? So to do that, what we need to do is set up a new profile. And the new profile is going to just be labeled yes for this one, because this is going to be the answering yes. And the way we do that is we set up another state. And this is going to be the plugin, Auto Voice Recognize. Go into Edit. Now make sure event behavior is checked. And our new command is just going to be simply yes. Yes, I want to see the picture. And okay, now this is where it becomes important. Remember earlier I said you have to do a command ID in that previous command. Basically what that does is set how to loop back or whatever. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but basically this allows you to chain commands together. And to chain a command to this one is this next one below it, which is the last command ID. So what I'm doing now is saying that if this is set, the profile will be active only if this other one labeled pictures, which we labeled it, is set, was used. So we want to make sure that yes, this one, the last command ID is set and it was labeled pictures or picture. Make sure you get it spelled right, otherwise it's not going to know where it went. So what we have now is an event behavior, a command of yes, and referring to the last command ID of picture. And then you hit check, and that's it for that one. So now what we want to do is, if yes, we want to see the picture. Now again, this is where, let's see, I'm going to do show picture, show pic. And this is where, again, I was mentioning HTC and why it's specific. For HTC, they have an option down here in the corner that will let you review the last photo taken. It also just brings you back to your gallery, but it brings it to the last photo you took. Now, I'm going to be doing another script where I'm running the XY coordinates of that button. So this is why I mentioned HTC specific. You're going to have to find out however your device is set up to review the last photo or show the most recently taken photo, however you want it to set up. But this is why this one is specifically made for the HTC One, or any of them running Sense 5 or I think even 4 has the same kind of setup. But pressing that button is what I'm going to tell it to do now, because that's the simplest way I can do it on this device. So to do that, again, remember, we're running a script, and it's a shell script, and we want to put the input tap. Again, input style is a tap, and it's going to tap on the XY coordinates of, what was it, 950, I believe I figured out the thing to be, by 1780, something like that. So that's where that little corner image or icon is. And again, make sure when you're running shell, you want to use root, otherwise it's not going to do it for you. Okay, so root, that is important. And that's it. So go back out. Now we have two setups. One's going to take the photo, open the app, take the photo, say cheese, yada yada, and then ask you, do you want to review it? Now I'm saying yes, and so it's going to, when I say yes, it'll tap on that button. Well, what if I don't? What if I'm like, don't worry about it, I'm done taking pictures. Let's set up a no command. So that's a no. And then, same thing, we want to go into the state, use our plugin again because it's going to be listening for our voice, and edit, event behavior, command filter of no. No thank you, no I don't want to see it, whatever it is. As long as I say no, it's not going to do it. Also, don't forget to reference that last ID, command ID, as picture. And hit check. And back out, and our new task is going to be kill the app. So cam off. Camera off. Alright. Okay, cam off. I already have that set up, so just cam off. Anyways, so you want to kill the app. The way you do that, you add a new task and go into app. And instead of load app, we are now going to kill the app. And kill the camera. And again, make sure to use root on this one. I don't know if it's 100% necessary, but I've heard some people do have problems with it killing apps or restricting that. So use root. Just keep safe. It'll kill the app. And that is it. You are all set up. Now that we got everything set up, there is one thing I should let you know about. If you're doing this on an HTC One, there are only the 2 buttons down on the bottom, so there's not that press and hold to get that voice recognition started. But what the Auto Voice app does is give you a what's it called? A shortcut, and basically you go into shortcuts and it's right there. And that allows you to have that on-screen quick touch of that voice recognition part, the Google Voice. So you see I'm not pressing any buttons, manipulating anything. Take a picture.
Say cheese. Do you want to see the picture?
Yes. And there it is. Showing us the photo. And like I said, if I said no, I'll show you that real quick. Take a picture.
Say cheese. Do you want to see the picture?
No. And it kills the app. And that's done. Pretty cool. Like I said, you can get voice commands to do anything. You can even make it be silly. You can set up a little, like a lie detector. Tell me if they're telling the truth, and it'll reply with they're not telling the truth, or however you want to do it. But anyways, so something very simple like launching an app, as you saw, or just making silly things like, how cool is Android?
Obviously the coolest ever.
So, silly things like that, which I guess it's not that silly because Android is pretty amazing. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I know it was very long, very in-depth. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the comments, ask. I can do as best as I can. Like I said, I'm not an expert on this. Definitely go through the other tutorials, the beginner's guide from Armando Ferreira. Wow, I'm probably really ruining his name there. I will put a link. And check it out. Really learn it. It's worth everything. It's worth the time. Thanks for watching.